form.
I missed that.
So I was reading up on his consultation form. 7 months old.
Yes.
A little nervous, reactive to people.
He's a great dog. He's a great listener. He came to us really skittish,
Okay.
a little bit shy, and he was very nervous around other dogs, and he completely overcame that. He loves playing with dogs, loves going to dog parks, even more submissive sometimes. But with people, so he'll be fine like in this setting, but if you go to reach and pet him, which a lot of people sometimes don't ask, or children, he never beat anyone, but it looks like he might. So he lunges and tries to startle them and barks and gets loud and close to your body. So it happens with strangers.
Okay. Is this anytime anybody tries to approach him?
Yes.
Okay.
Or if somebody looks suspicious to him walking on the street, he gets, and prior to this, he used to hide behind me, but I think maybe he noticed that people don't get the message and still reach for him. So he may, I'm not sure psychology behind it, but now he adopted this behavior and people do back off and let him be. He's been socialized since the baby. This is our second Rottie, and I know how important it is to socialize them and bring around children and people. So I've done all this, but he's still, you know, maybe it's his personality. He doesn't like to be approached and like reached for, but at the same time it's a big liability. And
yeah, and you got him at 2 months?
you got him, yes, around 2 months.
Okay, and at 2 months you already saw him kind of like...
He came in extremely shy and so it took him a long time to want to leave the perimeters of the building when we live. So now, of course, he overcame all this, but the people part's still there.
Okay. Did you get him from a breeder?
Yes.
Okay. Was this like the same breeder from a previous Rottie?
No,
different breeder?
No, yes.
Okay. Did you tell the breeder about that behavior?
No.
No? Okay. So, that's his genetics. Okay, like he was just born that way. What makes this difficult, or would make this difficult, is how big is he gonna be?
So I don't think he's gonna be that big. Our last Rottie was 120. He's now 74, and he's almost 7 months. So I think maybe 85. What do you think?
How big were his parents?
His mom was on the smaller side. His dad was about 95 pounds.
Okay, sure. Yeah, so I could see him being around that range. So it makes things a little easier. Because the last Rottie I worked with was 150 pounds. He was huge. So the issue that we get is when you get a fear-based aggression, it's hard to work around. I mean, it can be worked on, but when it's a really big dog, that's what people don't factor in, is just the power that the dog has when they kick into fear, right? So I'm gonna need to test his threshold, meaning I'm gonna have to make contact with him to see what he does, okay? The good thing is you are starting younger, you're starting at 7 months. And I know you socialize him a lot and he's comfortable in certain settings. Unfortunately, it's the problem of when people just don't ask and try to touch him, right? So that's more of a defensive thing. In my opinion, not so much bad, because just like with people, like you don't want anybody just touching you. The problem is that dogs, like a human would say, hey, don't touch me or back away, whereas a dog says,
He no warning,
yeah, he just jumps and barks, and then, you know, people, I get it, but I mean, that's why you ask for permission. That's unfortunately not how the world works. Is it guaranteed if someone goes to touch him that he will respond that way?
So this is why I'm so confused. Have some manners, Kinky. Because if he sees the stranger with a dog, most likely he'll let him pet him or her pet him, and he reacts equally to children, females or males. But if we're in a dog park, all the dog owners can pet him and he doesn't react. It's baffling to me, but if we're walking or if we, like for example, we were at the veterinarian office yesterday, and the front desk lady came to open the door for us, and she just reached in, and he really startled her. He barked and lunged and didn't do anything, but other than that, he's a fantastic dog. He's so eager to learn and work. He loves his family. I have a almost 7-year-old daughter. So he's very bonded to all the family. We have a cat. Cat beats him up, so so he's not aggressive, or doesn't show any aggression whatsoever. Besides those incidents, he's gonna get neutered soon. And one more thing is walking. So he's very respectful to all his commands, but he will pull when opportunity comes and he needs it. Heel is not our forte yet.
Sure, yeah.
Yes, Kiki.
Let me have you go ahead and grab him by the right handle.
Good boy.
Just get a good little hold there.
Like this?
Yeah.
Hi, bud. Good boy. What is it, Kiki? What is it, Kiki?
Yeah.
What is it, King? Say hi. Say hi. What is it, bud? Say hi.
So is that the barking that you usually see, or is it usually more intense?
Pretty much the same.
The same?
And launches very close to your body.
Sure. But it's the same. That doesn't get worse than that.
Maybe just a little bit more excited, but not.
Sure. So for me here, this looks like a nervous, overstimulated dog. Okay, so I don't pick up a whole lot of fear. I pick up more so nervousness. Because when I went to touch him, he like jumped up and he flipped around like this, right? And then he postured himself right in front of you. So that's just him like getting in a defensive position.
How is it different fear from
nervousness?
Fear,
when I went to touch him, he would have went backwards. He would have went like this and tried to stay away. Nervousness, like when I went to touch him, he jumped up very quickly. You can throw that over here. I'll hold that.
Thank you.
Yeah, we got puppies that we train, so.
Now he'll be your best friend.
Fear wants to move backwards. Nervousness moves when there's sudden movements. So he was fine until I tried to touch him, and then he turned like this, right? And then he was fine, and then I started going like this, and then when I started jumping, then he started barking, right? Because there was a sudden movement. So like, let's say, like right now he relaxes, right? Yeah. I'm calm for like 15 minutes, and let's say I just jump up. Yeah. I would expect him to bark there, because something just happened, right? So if he was really scared, he would have kept trying to move back, and then he would still be barking. He wouldn't let it go. Okay. As soon as everything calmed down, he calmed down. So for me, that's a nervous dog. Okay. And his tail started going, not so much like like a happy going, it's just more like kind of excited, like what's going on, like what's going to happen, right? But I didn't pick up any real, what I would call aggression there. Okay. Now it doesn't mean that it can't become that. So when people talk about aggression, like, oh, my dog isn't aggressive. I don't like saying that. Think of aggression as like getting angry, but it's like an escalated level of angry, right? So any person can become aggressive, right? You can't just say this person's not aggressive because you don't know. If they get mad enough, maybe they are, right? Same thing for the dog. So for him, because he's still a young pup, he's 7 months. If he's not developed the confidence, or maybe he, it's possible he just doesn't have it in him. Like some people don't want to get in a fight, right? Some people go, you know what, I'm gonna just walk away. I don't want to fight you. But there's people that do want to fight, right? Same thing for dogs. Some are willing to fight, some are not willing to fight, some learn to fight, right? It all depends on the dog. So like let's say someone on the street went to touch King, and they kept trying to touch him, and he kept barking, and they just kept going.
Yeah.
And then finally he's like, I can't get away from you, now I'm gonna bite. But that doesn't make him aggressive.
Yeah. That's
somebody who just kept going and didn't respect his boundaries, so that he goes, I have to defend myself, now I'm gonna bite you. Does that make sense? And then after that experience, maybe the next time someone tries to touch him, he does bite him. Because he's like, the last time, they didn't leave me alone, right? So that's how that stuff works, okay? So with this case here, I just think he needs some formal discipline to help him calm down. I have exercises to help him socialize with people, but it has to be done correctly. So like when I was going to touch him, you're like, it's okay, King, it's okay, calm down, like that. That actually makes it worse, okay? Because you're adding energy, okay? So it's like when the dog's barking, people quiet, 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 hey, quiet. You hear it just gets bigger, right? And then the dog starts to bark louder. So then you have, exactly, right? So I know what you're trying to do, you're trying to calm him down, but for King, it's getting him worked up. And then you're causing more energy. You're making a bigger problem than it is, right? Whereas I just hold the dog. And I go, what is the dog going to do with only one variable, which is the person approaching, without me adding it in, right? So in protection training, because I used to do protection training a long time ago, we have the person holding the dog, right, on a harness, and they're pulling the dog back, and then you have the agitator. And the agitator is the one that like gets the dog to get pissed off, right? And they start going like this, messing with the dog. The dog starts to lunge back and go, good, yeah, attaboy, good. We're adding energy because we want to see it. We want to create it so that we can train it and then control it and then sell the dog, right? So here, your intention is, it's okay, King, but he doesn't hear the intention. He doesn't understand the intention. He just feels the energy.
Yeah.
He's like, man, mom's getting really worked up. And there's something going on, and it's just getting him even more worked up, and then you create a bigger problem.
Yeah.
Okay? So what we want here, because I cannot make King unnervous. That's him. He was born that way. Okay? But we can help him learn to handle it better. Okay? So part of that is what's called impulse control. Okay? So like when you said trying to walk with him in the heel or whatever, like it's not gonna.
Yeah.
You say he doesn't have a concept of it, right? So if he sees maybe a friend probably pulling over there, right? That's impulse control.
Yeah.
I see my friend, I want to say hi.
Yeah.
Okay? Impulse control is I see my friend, but mom didn't give me permission to say hi, so I'm going to just keep going and mind my business. Okay?
Yeah.
So how that helps him with the nervousness is if he just doesn't make decision, if someone surprises him, it shouldn't be bark, 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 bark. You're going to get some of this, okay, because that's there. But it shouldn't go to the next level because he's calmer, okay? Now the other part of it is, I would suggest socialization exercises. This place is either too hot or too cold. To help him learn to trust people, okay? Now the problem with that exercise is people will touch your dog, no problem, without permission, as you've seen.
Yeah, all the time.
Right? But then, the moment you tell someone, hey, would you pet my dog, I'm trying to socialize them, they won't do it.
I agree with you. I've tried that. So
Yeah,
they're like, oh, I don't want to be the bait.
Exactly. So that's where we have a problem, okay? That's where we would have to, I would highly suggest muzzle conditioning, okay? Because it makes the person feel better, okay? I've worked with very aggressive dogs, and we'll tell the people, so an aggressive dog, we've worked with them, we're trying to socialize them, they have the muzzle, it's safe, would you help? Some people say no, but more people will say yes.
Yeah.
Because they go, well, even if the dog tries to do something, it's okay because I'm protected. Does that make sense?
Right.
So if you're trying to get King as close to stability as possible, that's something you have to do. Okay, because like you said, you experienced it where you try to tell people when you pet them so you can socialize them.
And I think what you meant, that key word is he lacks the trust with strangers for maybe his personality or something happened, he got scared when he was little, but that's the building the trust is a big one.
Correct. And so with the muzzle, the person feels safe. I have a very easy, very simple exercise, right? And we can use food to help him like people to open up if he's very food motivated. But if the person is trying to help him socialize, but they're kind of fearful that he's big, right? It's going to affect how they behave. They're going to give him a treat. They're going to be like this, right? And he sees that, and he goes, you don't trust me, so why should I trust you? So that creates a whole nother dynamic, right? We want it to be as relaxed as possible, so he doesn't pick up any tension, correct, right? And that conditioning, I would start that immediately. Whether you work with me or you work with another trainer, I would think anybody who's going to help you socialize a dog, and it's not because he's 70 pounds or whatever, it's because I know how this works, and I have a client right now whose dog is 15 pounds, muzzle. Still doing a muzzle. Any dog with the mouth, we do muzzle. Okay? So especially with the bigger guys, it's harder because obviously if he decided to trigger, he's going to have, he has a more dangerous bite. But even the little dogs, we muzzle conditioning. Okay? And muzzle conditioning can take a couple of days, sometimes it takes a couple of weeks, sometimes it takes a couple of months. So I always tell people, today, you go home, you get your muzzle, and you start the training. Okay, just start muzzle conditioning.
Is it any kind of muzzle?
I use that brand right there, Baskerville.
I'll take a picture of it.
Yeah, you can take a picture, and then he's probably going to be a size 4, I think.
And so a size 4, thank you. So the stranger can reach in to give the treat.
Yeah, he can drink water, he can eat food, he can take treats, right? So he can open his mouth, you know, so he could technically play with it on and stuff like that. So what I would do is you go home and it'll tell you to measure him. I'm pretty sure he's probably a size 4.
Thank you.
But you know, double check on the website. Sometimes people will buy like the 3, 4, and 5. And then they'll send back the ones they don't need. You know?
Okay, so.
Yeah, so they don't waste time. But otherwise, I'm pretty sure, because I was just looking at one the other day, he might grow out of it. But in the meantime, that's the size I would say he is. And it allows us to socialize them and start exposing them with more chances of success, with people saying yes. And then what we want to see is when King sees somebody and they go to say hi, he does this. He goes up and he wants to greet them, right? Now, I can't make that happen, okay? I have exercises so that we can get there.
Awesome.
But King, ultimately, if he doesn't like something, he's not going to like it, right?
But I think it's also having the muzzle is going to help me to feel, because I'm picking up now his behavior, so every time a stranger's, I was like, oh, I'm holding the leash, I'm just being cautious, and I'm not being relaxed, because I know he might or might not jump. So having muzzle might calm me down too. And
yeah, because there's no liability anymore, you know. And how long the muzzle has to stay around, I don't know, right? So it can work a lot of different ways. Some people, they'll like the dog's really bad. And I tell them, anytime the dog's near a person, even though we've done all the training, muzzle, because it's just that bad. I get other clients, they don't need the muzzle anymore. And I get other clients that, for themselves, they'll have the muzzle on in the beginning, like when let's say guests come over, first 15 minutes, everything's there, everything's calm, they remove the muzzle, dog's fine. You know, so there's no fixed answer.
Do you use it as a punishment, like if
No.
you had it on, he was fine, you remove it, and then he lunges, do you like Oh, put it right back on.
Oh, so we would put it back on, not because it's a punishment, just because it didn't go as we planned it, because he won't see it as a punishment. So if you send a kid to timeout, the kid can think about like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Dogs don't do that. Dogs don't think about what they did 2 seconds ago. They think about right now.
Yeah.
Okay, he doesn't think about the future either. He doesn't think, oh, I shouldn't lunge at people because their mom's gonna put the muzzle. Okay, dogs don't think like that.
Oh, I will.
Humans do. Okay. So yeah, we don't use it as a punishment. If we took it off and then something happened, we would what we call correct the dog, right? Correct the behavior, and then we would put the muzzle back on if we feel that we needed it. Yeah, but not to punish him, but just because of his behavior.
Gotcha.
Okay.
For the
Is this the e-collar?
I just wanted to ask if that's the correct one. Do you recommend using the e-collar for heel and that kind of training? He's wonderful on off the leash. He's, I think, better off the leash than with the leash. But working on his leash behavior, all the treats, everything works just when he's in a working mode.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as he's just regular walking, he passes his threshold of just being in control. When my daughter is on roller skates or bike or scooter, he wants to run with her, and he pulls and he becomes really wild where it's hard to calm him down. So I don't know if you recommend using.
Have you used this before?
Never.
Okay, so I don't recommend these.
You do?
I don't.
Do not?
Yeah, I only use Dogtra.
Uh-huh.
Okay, it's also on the website. I only use Dogtra because it's the best collar. I've used Garmin before. They're okay. The problem is you have to do a lot of configuration. So like my collar, 0 to 127. Okay, and for him, it would be the highest power collar because he's going to be so big. But it's very easy, 10, 20, 30, 40, 35, 36, very easy. This one, you have to press buttons to go up higher, to get more power. So what that means is, let's say for heel, he's good on like low, this has like 3 settings, it's low, medium, and high, I think it is, okay? And I think it caps at like 8 or 12. So there's low, 1 through 12, medium, 1 through 12, and high, 1 through 12, if I remember correctly. So let's say for heel, low, 8 is good. But then someone comes out of nowhere and surprises him and he starts lunging and barking, and you need like medium 12. Now you gotta fiddle with this to go to medium and then go to 12 to get to that behavior. Whereas for me, if 30 is his number, and then someone comes around the corner, same scenario, and I need 50, 50. It's right there. Does that make sense? This one you have to do a lot of fiddling around. It's very complicated. I'm not sure if
it's easy for me to return. I just ordered that before I scheduled a consultation with you.
Sure. Yeah, I will return this, get your money back for it. Because trust me, I've been doing this for 10 years.
Oh, yes.
I've used this for quite a while. Used e-collars, and every time I try to use Garmin, it's just a pain in the ass. The Dogtra is very simple, and Maria would send you the one you would need. The one that he would need is for 70-pound dogs and over, so it's going to be the appropriate power. I'd also most likely suggest you put them on a prong collar as well.
Do that.
Yeah. So the e-collar is going to do almost all of the work. The prong collar is there in case of an emergency. So like I had a young lady, she was 90 pounds, very small young lady, with a 150-pound Great Dane. Okay, and he was very dog reactive. You see a dog, she would just go.
Yes.
So she needs to do e-collar with the prong collar, because I told her, well, the e-collar is how you control them, because it doesn't matter how big you are, because the e-collar does that. But in case you turn the corner and there's a dog, you need to have an immediate control while you use the e-collar to try to stop the behavior if that happens. Because the hardest part about reactivity, and yours is a bit simpler because it's more so just towards humans. So when it comes to reactivity, it's a spectrum. Reactivity towards humans is almost always the first thing that goes away. Okay. Then it's calm dogs, excited dogs, other barking or reactive dogs, and then when you turn the corner, dog. That's how it usually goes. Okay, and this end, excuse me, is usually the hardest. So if I get a dog when the owner turns the corner and a person surprises them, they become reactive. That's much easier. Okay, but in case of an emergency where someone just turns a corner and then goes, "Oh my God, look at that Rottie," and tries to touch him, right away when you pull on the leash, you're gonna have control. Okay, but it's doing very little of the work. The e-collar does everything else. The way I would approach this is the first thing that we would do is one, get your muzzle, start conditioning. And we have videos that we would send you. You don't have to worry about doing a training session. You just watch the videos and start that as soon as you can. Okay? Because trust me, people always wait till the week before or the day before to like tread into the muzzle, and the dog's fighting the muzzle. It's not good. Okay?
We'll get it right away.
Yeah, so start that process. But the first thing I would do with this guy is heal. Okay? Heal fixes lots of problems. Okay? It's what's going to help him calm down. It's going to help him be more passive, have impulse control, not be so jumpy when someone comes into his personal space. Okay?
Give him a job kind of responsibility, right?
Something to just like dial in on. Because if he's so used to just doing whatever he wants and then someone comes in, boom, right? So we want to settle that down. It's usually 2 classes. Okay? There's 2 parts to heal. So once we get that out the way, I might ask you, like, have you seen any changes? Is he getting better? And you might say, oh yeah, he seems more calm now. He seems more relaxed. No one's tried to touch him. But he saw like somebody running. He didn't bark, which he normally barks. And I go, okay, cool. We've made some progress there. Then the third class, everything going smoothly, we would jump into muzzle, and I would show you the exercise to socialize him correctly. Okay? So by the third class,
besides starting him and I watching the videos, it's different. It's a third class with muzzle.
Right, because with that class, I'm going to show you how to socialize King. I'm going to show you how we go about it. And then you just start doing that process. Okay? What determines whether or not he advances in the behavior is one, how does he feel about it? Okay, because we can't make him like people, but there's things that we can do to help. But let's say you socialize him with hundreds of people, and you're like, Jess, he just doesn't like other people. Then I'm like, he just doesn't like other people. Like, there's nothing I can do about that.
His personality.
Correct. But you at least have control. That if somebody were to try to come into his space and he lunges and barks, you can stop it. Because he's technically not doing anything wrong. Right? Like if somebody just came up to you and started touching you, like you'd want to defend yourself. So he's not doing anything wrong, it's just that people are crossing the threshold without asking permission.
Yes, because if you would be sitting like this, he's not reacting to you, he's not being aggressive.
No, he's like, I mind my space, you mind your space, we're good.
Right.
Yeah. And so that would be the third class, okay? The classes after that, really what dictates how long the program is how much control you want over King, okay? Now, because you have a large dog, I suggest you have a very good level of control over him. You don't need the best, like you don't need complete everything, but you want to have good control so you can take him places and not have to worry about him being all over the place. There's 3 essential commands. There's the heal, that's going to help us fix behaviors. There's the recall, come over here, and then there's the don't move. Okay, very simple. There's just 3 commands. So this will the don't move will allow you to like take him places like the patio or a restaurant or something, and then King's right there.
Yeah.
He's not going to move. You just have to be mindful of the people around you. But if he's under control, that allows you to worry about the environment if we need to.
Sure.
The recall, come when called, in case he gets off leash, in case he's chasing something, in case something scares him like a firework and he starts to run away. You want to be able to get him to come back.
He's really good at both.
Good. And then the heal is, of course, the walk with me, no matter what's going on, but the foundation for everything else. Okay? So he has a recall and he has a stationary command, it sounds like already.
Yes.
Okay?
Very well. But the pulling on the leash and heal, none of it.
Not good. Okay. So the other thing is, he's going to change. you know, the dog you have today isn't going to be the same dog you have in a month, in 3 months, in 5 months. The two pivotal time frames are 6 months and a year, okay, for power breeds, 6 months and a year. Typically, when people have issues with their dog, they'll tell me, oh, at 6 months, my dog was attacked at a dog park. Or, you know, I dropped a cabinet full of plates and they broke all over the place. And ever since that day, around 6 months or a year, my dog changed, right? Yeah, so at a year, we might see a bigger change, okay? Now, I know he's gonna get neutered, you said, soon, so that'll help any testosterone-based behaviors, marking, mounting, the need to mate, okay? But anything else like the nervousness or the fearfulness or, you know, any of the kind of reactive response, most likely is not going to be affected. Okay, I do suggest that you neuter, because I had a Doberman that we trained and a Bull Terrier that weren't neutered, and they were very intense, right? Yeah. And I can tell the owners, like, you're gonna have a hard time controlling this dog. You're gonna have a hard time controlling the dog. Finally, got them neutered, and they're so much more, just less intense, much easier to handle. Okay, because they didn't have all that frustration built up into them. So in terms of like length of time and stuff, you're like in the 6 to 9 class range, okay? If you do 6, the way I do my programs is I look at the problem, I look at what you need, I look at the dog, and I go, okay, I know what I can get done with this much time. In 6 classes, what I would focus on is the heel, that's 2 classes. The socialization exercise is again about 1 class. We would go over recall, because I know he has a good recall, but you want to think in case of an emergency, can you make him return? Okay, so like I've had people's dogs run away because of fireworks. I've had them run away because they were chasing a squirrel. I had a client come across a coyote in Lincoln Park. Like, there's a lot of crazy stuff that can happen, right? Is I want to know, in case of an emergency, can I make it come back, right? And e-collar is the only tool that can guarantee that. Because even if he's running because he's scared, you have something that can override him, okay? So that's about 5 classes, leaving 1 class left over to like either review things, maybe you want to go back to the socialization exercise, you let me know. The 9-week program would be the heel, the recall, the socialization exercises, and then the don't move for a period of time, okay? Because you want to think, I know he's good now, but if he changes, his personality changes, and he becomes more pushy, like, you know, with kids, becoming a teenager and stuff like that, right? We're not like little like easy kids, and then we become teenagers, and we're talking back and all that stuff, pushing the rules. That's what's going to happen in a year, okay? So you have everything you need, and then it's just a matter of reinforcing it, okay? Making sure that you're using it. A lot of people like teach the stuff, and then they don't use it, and then they wonder why the dog's not as good as they were when they're doing the training, okay?
Yeah, gotta keep those skills sharp.
Correct. It's I tell people it's a lifestyle. You know, it's not that you're always having to use it. It's that so he doesn't forget it. Yeah. You know, like if you don't use it, you lose it. Like, he's not gonna like be so sharp on things. So if you're like, everybody always walks their dog, right? So that heel is always almost the first and easiest thing the dog learns, because they walk their dog every day. Recall tend to take longer, because you have to go somewhere to practice and practice and practice. Yeah, so that takes time. And the duration command, like you don't move, is very easy, but it's so easy that people ignore it. Yeah. So then they don't use it. And then one day they need it, but then they've never done it, so then the dog can't do it. Okay? So I think
those are very important,
yeah, so for you, you're like in the 6 to 9 class range if you're just worried about the problem, okay? If you're like, no, I would like King to not only like work on the problem, but have the most control that there is, that's the 12 class program, okay? And we go over everything: sit, stay, down, come, place, heel, so 6 commands. And we build them to off-leash reliability, okay? So you don't need the leash, it's all through the e-collar. But of course you do have to do the homework. I teach you everything, and then you go, you do your homework, you come back, how's it looking? Good, now we keep learning, okay? If you don't do the homework, we're not gonna get anywhere. Let me think here. If you did like the shorter 6-week program, like let's say for whatever reason, you're having a hard time socializing, we would just spend more time on that problem, okay? But then we wouldn't cover everything. So we have to do at least 2 classes on heel. The other 4, we could just target the socialization, which is simple. So really, you just need the one class on it. But if for whatever reason you're like, hey Jesse, I tried it, and then he lunged at someone, and I tried again, he lunged again, he kept lunging, then I go, okay, then I need to do this with you wherever you're doing the socialization exercises because something's off.
Okay.
Okay. Otherwise, if I teach you, you do it, you're like, hey Jesse, it was very easy, he did really well, then I would say keep doing it. Okay, because it's super simple. Nothing really changes other than adding a positive to the introduction, but then also showing the person how to correctly introduce themselves to a dog like King, and then that's how we start to build trust. Ideally, if you do this with a lot of different people, King will open up, okay, and be more so like normal, where he like just likes everybody, because he's going to generalize people mean good things.
Yeah.
Okay. The other side of that is if King did become reactive and try to lunge, you would have to correct that and teach him, nope, you can't do that. So if you can't do that, you can do this, right? And then adding a positive to it and balancing it out to see how he does with that. Okay.
Yes.
But again, if it's in his nature, like I don't like people that I don't know, if he's not actively going after them,
Right.
then there's not much.
And then maybe I can learn to maybe even put the not touch on a leash or be one of those people like, oh, please.
Right, but people really shouldn't be doing that. Like I don't touch dogs without permission. You know, I always, if I want to touch a dog.
I was surprised too because with his size, I don't think I would just reach for somebody else's dog.
Yeah, no,
but they do.
Yeah. Maybe because he's still small, they think he's just a small puppy. But you know, this is in his genetics. In terms of his nervousness and stuff, what I saw earlier today, not terrible. Okay. Yeah, I would say he's like a 1 to maybe 3, very low. Okay. So definitely something you want to start targeting now. The neutering will help a lot, especially since you're doing it sooner rather than later. Most people wait later, and by the time it's later, the dog's already frustrated, the dog's already pissed off, and it's already developed habits. So that's going to put you a step ahead as well.
There was conflicting research for large dogs. They want to wait so they develop better or grow, their bones grow stronger. I don't know.
Yeah, I've had people do everything.
Yeah.
I've had people wait, 2 years, and then they neuter, and I've had people just neuter at 6 months.
Yes.
I've not ever seen it. They, like this Great Dane guy is just as big as this Great Dane.
Yeah.
So I tell everybody, do what's going to make you feel good at the end of the day. If it makes you feel better to neuter him now, then just neuter him now.
Sure.
Okay? There's no guarantee to anything in life, especially when we're dealing with a living creature.
Yeah.
The only real guarantee is if you're being proactive about it, right? Like, okay, I'm going to get him neutered. I'm going to find a trainer. I'm going to do e-collar, right? Because I had somebody with a Rottweiler, this was years ago, and they messed the dog up. They had a puppy, I came in, he was about 6 months, and they kept him locked away in the basement by himself in the dark. And I went down to see him, and he was like, it's like going crazy. I'm like, why is this dog down here? And they're like, oh, we don't want him to like people. I'm like, no. I'm like, you want him to love people. And then if you want a protection dog, you train that. Yeah. I'm like, this is a liability, because now this dog doesn't like anything. Yeah. And they didn't want to do e-collar. I was like, you can't do that. You can't have a big, powerful dog seclude them to create this problem and then not want to do e-collar, because that's the only tool that's going to allow you to control your dog, because it's going to be so big. Yeah. So I've seen a lot of stuff in my career, but definitely from what I've seen so far with this guy, the nervousness level, not too bad. It's just his size and his breed that's going to make it intimidating. And like if he keeps lunging at people and they keep moving back, he's learning.
Oh yeah, let me do more of that.
Yeah, so that becomes a bigger problem. The other thing you want to think about is, have you had people come over to your home? How does he do?
Not great.
Okay.
But he is, I'm able to get him calm down, and but with COVID, again, we don't have that many opportunities.
Yeah.
So, but new people that came in, he was just uncomfortable, nervous, but not attacking them or.
Okay.
But you could tell he was just not happy in his space. He was kind of moving around and not being relaxed.
Yeah. So he seems kind of anxious there.
Anxious, yeah.
Yeah.
He was anxious.
So COVID has created a lot of problems, and that's one of them. It's because now that people aren't coming over, the dog, just thinks like this is home, this is how it is, and anybody who comes in is now suspicious.
Yeah.
Right? So that's something else that we can also cover. That's typically just a class maybe 2. So like let's say, if you decide just 6, I would do 2 on heel, the socialization exercise, the door exercise for people coming over, and then whatever else we can get done within that time frame, okay? So the longer you do, the more we're able to accomplish. The less you do, I just look at the problem and I go, okay, this is what you're gonna need for sure, okay? But the door exercise, the way we've been doing it is I'm here on my computer and my employee comes and he has a big suit. He has a 60-pound suit, so he can come in and behave normally. He doesn't have to worry about King trying to bite him. If he tries to bite him, it's okay, we can correct it. He's protected. And I show you how to use the exercise to calm King down so that when people come over, he should be relaxed. He shouldn't be anxious and nervous, okay? But unfortunately, because of COVID, if you're not able to practice this regularly, that's probably going to be a problem area, okay? Potentially something that can be overcome once we go back to normalcy and you can start having more people over. Otherwise, we have that muzzle and we just use everything that we have to help ease them in and then remove it if he calms down.
Yes, I would love to work with you. I think maybe we can start with either 6 or 9 classes.
Sure, Maria will go over all that stuff with you.
And yes, I'm excited.
One of the questions that I get a lot is, when does the e-collar go away?
Yes.
Okay. In my opinion, when you need it, it doesn't. Okay. So which means when you're out on the walk with King, you have it.
Yeah.
When a guest is coming over, you have it.
Do they associate it like, she's putting it on, I gotta be on my best behavior?
Yes.
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with the training. It has nothing to do with my skills as a trainer. You drive?
Yes.
You go on the expressway?
Yes.
Do you go the speed limit?
That's right.
Most people don't go the speed limit, right? And the reason why I do that, and I ask that question, is people always think if you're so good, the dog should just do it and not need anything, right? And they're like, I see it on YouTube or whatever. And I'm like, I understand that. But you gotta understand that that dog belongs to a trainer who's trained that dog since 2 months, hours a day, over the course of years, right? Yeah, we're not doing that here, right? The other thing is, not even humans do that, right? We know we're not supposed to go past 70 on the expressway, but if we don't see cops,
opportunistic.
Yeah, exactly, opportunistic behavior, okay? So it's a part of instinct. It's why, it's how animals survive.
Yes.
So if he's thinking, oh, you have the collar on, I need to behave myself, he's gonna act like he's got the collar on, right? When he doesn't have it on, he's gonna know, oh, mom doesn't have it on, so now I can push the boundary, okay? So only when you need it. If he's a great dog in the house, then you don't need it. If he's a great dog when you go to your relative's house, then you don't need it. But if you're out on a walk, and when people come over and those are moments where he has problems, you need it, okay? Now it doesn't mean that you're always using it.
Yeah,
I
feel really bad because he's my second baby, and are those very painful?
Oh, the e-collars?
Yes.
So have you been to a chiropractor or a physical therapist?
Yes.
Have you had the stim?
Yes.
Yeah, that's e-collar.
Not bad.
Yeah, so e-collar isn't like taser. Okay, it's not electrocution.
Yeah.
It's just a muscle contraction. Now, the higher we go, like with humans, the more uncomfortable it becomes. But that's why it's effective. Okay, so we're not going to use it to punish King. Okay, because that's what people think.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you're lunching and barking. Right? They think I'm going to just punish you really hard. That's not how it works. That's how you make more problems. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that it's not an approach because I've done it. I have, I think, 3 dogs right now where we've had to max out the collar because they were so bad. Okay, but we did everything else before we decided to do that. Okay, so when you go to the chiropractor or the physical therapist, they start low, right, and they go up. and they say, tell us when it's too much. And you go right there. And they go down lower. And they say, how is that? And you say, that's good. And they're like, okay, we're going to leave you alone so that the machine can do its work. Same thing for dogs. We start low. Okay, I have a burner Weiler right now, and he's super sweet, kind of timid, and his number was 70 out of 127. Okay, on the first day. But he wasn't in pain, and you saw a really big movement, but he was like nothing. Okay.
So it's not activated the whole time. It just gets activated when you need them.
Mm-hmm. So only when you press the button. Okay. So this is why we're starting with heel first. So with heel, I can discipline King, right? And he learns what consequence is. It's so like for me growing up, if my mom said don't do that, it was just don't do that. And then if I still did it, and then I got spanked, don't do that meant totally something different now. Because now there was a consequence. So the consequence for dogs helps calm them down, okay? Because like his mom or his litter mates or other dogs will bite him if he gets too rowdy, right? If he does something inappropriate, if he tries to mount one of them and they don't like it,
correct,
they bite him, right? So the e-collar is our way of biting King to correct things, right? But I don't go looking for the problem for a guy like him. I know there is one, but it's one thing if you would have came in and he was lunging and barking, and another thing if he comes in and he's minding his business, and then when I touch him and jump, he barks. Because I had to do something to garner that reaction. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I had a Rottie 6 years ago that I trained. He actually bit me. I had a big 6-inch scar right here.
Yikes.
When his owner would go walk him, he was trying to attack everything: strollers, bikers, rollerbladers, people, runners, everything, right? And even for him, we didn't start with the problem. I taught him how to walk correctly, okay? And once we taught him how to walk correctly and follow the owner, all that stuff went away, okay? The only reason he bit me was because I was trying to show the owner something and I forgot. I forgot he didn't like people. So I went to grab the leash, and when I went to grab the leash, he looked at me, he jumped up, and I jumped back, and then he got me.
Yikes.
But yeah, so this guy, nothing near that other dog.
He's a fantastic guy. He just needs a little bit of right way of training, because he will meet you in the middle. He steps up to the plate and tries to please you. He's a good guy. Mm-hmm. In the end of our session, I want to ask you, it's not just us. I also wanted to recommend my brother. They don't live here. They live outside of Peoria. Uh-huh. And they adopted a Rottweiler who is now about 2 years old. Mm-hmm. And he came in, you could see he was maybe abused, because when you put him outside in the yard, he just, and approach him, he just hides and he acts really weird. But he is very social, he loves his family, but he's out of control because they got him and they didn't train him properly. So my mom and my brother, they, yell at him. He steals all the food off of counters. The poor cat now lives on top of the fridge because he will kill it. He wants to play, so he will bite you and nip at you when you walk by. Taking him on a walk, they go in the park, he will lunge and bite a person if the person is near enough, or pull uncontrollably. He has the prawn collar, but
he needs more.
Control. So I spoke with my family, and they're totally on board. Maybe to make us some kind of commitment where they can travel here. He has a much worse case than this guy, so they would probably need a longer duration. And his problem is that learning, just like you said, learning the correct way how to walk. And he's not aggressive, he just disregards rules, and he likes to lunge and get away with what he can.
Sure.
So he needs that kind of formal, proper.
Yeah. Well, in my opinion, because dogs don't give each other treats.
Yeah.
You know, so that the treat training is good for puppies under 6 months.
Yeah.
But then I tell everybody after six months you need reliable obedience. Prong collar is better, but the problem with prong collar is if the dog's too powerful, it's not very effective. Or if you take the leash off, the dog knows. Whereas with the e-collar, it doesn't matter because, like I said, that young lady was 90 pounds, 150-pound dog, and she was able to get him under control because of the e-collar. It helps close the gap physically if the person doesn't have the physical strength, you know? So, because like a lot of times, like the husband or the boyfriend can always control the dog, but then the girlfriend struggles because they tend to be smaller in stature. And then when they do e-collar, it helps close that gap. So.
But they need, I see they also need the training how to put boundaries and how to properly discipline without just yelling and.
Yes, well, yelling just like I said earlier, just creates more energy. When we train, it's completely silent.
Yeah.
Like we do use words, but you know, like I don't train heel with any words. It's all just e-collar. And so which also reminds me, because of COVID and stuff, I don't touch the dog anymore. You train him. I teach you how to teach him. Okay, so before I would take King, I would train in front of you, and then I'd give him back to you, and then I would have you do it, right? Now you do everything, okay? So you learn more. Because what happens is, if I take care of all the problems, you don't learn how to handle the problems yourself. And life's not going to be perfect. You're going to go outside and someone's going to try to touch your dog, and you need to know, like, how do I get King back under control, or what do I do here to prevent something from escalating, okay? So it's all verbal instruction now. That's why we also start recording everything, because it's a ton of information. So like people will forget stuff, and then they just go back and they watch their video, you know. Or like if you have a problem with something, and I have another client with the same problem, and we worked on it, I send you the video, and I say, go here, watch this video. It's the same problem you're having, and then you can watch it and then try to, you know, address it yourself. Yeah. So I don't really perceive any issues here. I think you're on the right track. You know, it's good that you already had one, just not the right model. Maria would send you the information for that. The brand that I use, I think it runs about $299 with tax. Fully waterproof, both the transmitter and the receiver. 1 mile range, so more than enough range for the standard family pet, and meant for a guy his size. Okay. Worst case scenario, and this is probably more so for, was it your brother with the?
Yeah, so they're gonna be their separate entity. They're gonna have to have consultation with you too.
Correct. Because I have to see the dog and how big he is and stuff. But that Rottweiler I told you before earlier, he needed 2 e-collars. Because he was that bad.
Yes.
He was that bad. I've only had maybe 2 to 3 dogs in my career that were so bad, and it was mainly because they were all 150-pound dogs.
Yeah, he's not. He's about 100 pounds.
Okay, so he's a smaller ride. Okay, but yeah, I don't perceive anything here. I think you're in the realm of 6 to 9 if you're more concerned about targeting the problem and then just learning what you need. If everything's moving smoothly with the behavior, again, it's a very simple one-class thing. You just start doing it. Okay. Do keep in mind that winter is coming, so that might inhibit you a bit. It might just mean that you're going to take longer in order to get him to that space. But as best you can, regardless of who you use for training, muzzle condition, start that process immediately. And then 2, as best you can, that you've done well with trying to socialize him. The problem that you're having is that he's genetically that way. So even though he's fine when he's comfortable, and the whole, when you said if they have a dog, he's fine, for the most part, is very common.
Yes.
Because the dog acts like he goes into a social state, as opposed to when you're walking together and it's just you and King, and then someone goes, hey, it's completely just like out of the ordinary for him. But if they had another dog and they said, hey, he might be more receptive to them saying hi because he's in a social state because of the dog.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's not uncommon. And I think from what I saw here, nervous guy, very low nervousness, and I think if you start sooner rather than later, you're going to have a higher chance of stabilizing things a bit. Okay.
Great.
Anything else?
Where do we do the heel training in Us Park?
Oh, so you pick. right? Because he'll most likely be fine. So we have 2 locations. We can either train at Oz Park. We were doing Oz Park because in the summer, very busy. Lots of people, dogs, strollers, rollerbladers and stuff. But now with things getting cold, not so busy, okay? So we give people the option. If you don't want to have to worry about the weather, because you are going to be out there for an hour, is we can train here, okay? I have a 5,000 to 6,000 square foot space, enough space to do everything, the long leash, the recall, all that stuff, okay? If you want to do Oz, because you want to be working outside, we can do Oz as well, okay? You pick and choose. I have some clients that did some at Oz, and then it got too cold, and then they came over here because their dog was too small. It wasn't going to handle being in the cold for that long, okay?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so you can do either or. You let Maria know, and if like it's raining or something, a lot of times we just come here to work. And then like if we need to, like, we can do socialization exercises. I can use my employees. I usually have a couple around.
Great.
And then we can even, Enrique put the suit on the other day for a dog and was working with them and stuff like that. The dog was fine. So we have a lot of tools here that we can use as well.
I bring my daughter with me to so she can learn to handle him too.
She's 6?
7. Almost 7.
Almost 7.
Next month.
So the youngest I've worked with was a 13-year-old boy, but they had a small little schnauzer.
Yeah.
And he was very good. He's a bit the large side. Technically, yes, the training will be to the level that your daughter can control him. The problem is just the comprehension, right? So like, there was some kids at Oz Park. I was at a training session with a client, and their dog wasn't friendly. And these kids ran up with their like golden doodle, just running up like, "Hi, let me want to play." And I was like, "Nope, get out of here," right? And they were just like scared and like, go, because this is not a dog you can do that with, right?
Yeah.
Is, they didn't know. And also if something happens, like let's say your daughter's holding him and someone tries to pet him, and he has a moment, like your daughter's not gonna know what to do there. Once she's older, then it's easy peasy. If you want her to be present to learn and watch, I have no problem with it. But I would probably recommend for her to be a bit older before you actively allow her to handle him, like walking and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Okay? Because he will very easily bring her down.
Because she wants to take him. We have in our building dog run. Again, if the situation arises that like somebody just goes and pets him.
I actually did a video on my YouTube where it was a video of a young boy. He was probably like 10 to 12, and he was walking a pit bull, and the pit bull saw a dog across the street, and you see him pull the kid down and drag the kid, and runs across the street and attacks the dog. So like crap like that. That was an older child too, but it was a pretty big dog. So like those are things. People tend to go by what they've seen. Because you see Sweet King 99% of the time. The only time you see Reactive King is like 1% of the time. So people tend to make judgments on that, and they go, no, you also have to think about everything else that does happen. Because I've come across it plenty of times in my career. She's more than welcome to come to observe and just learn. But definitely in terms of handling, I would say only the older adults or
Gotcha.
All
right, Pablo.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jesse.
You're welcome.
Anything else you need from me?
No, Maria will get in contact with you. So she'll send you the make and model that you'll need, the size of prong collar, and we'll provide links because you don't want to get a prong collar from the store. They're the same price, but they're not the same quality.
Gotcha.
Okay, so you want to get them on a prong collar. You'll let her know that the length of time you want to do 6, 9, or 12, whatever, and then she'll take care of the rest.
Do you teach me how to use the prong collar, or you
Correct.
just put it on and start using?
Correct, right. So I'll send you a video, and it'll show you how to put it on and how to size it.
How to use is there technique to use it? Or?
Yes, very simple. Because the e-collar is going to do everything.
Okay.
So the prong collar is there just in case you need to control them. It just makes it easier for you to control them. Okay, but the e-collar is going to do the bulk of everything. But yes, I will go over when you have the collar on them, how they work together. Okay, so it's not just put it on because a lot of trainers do that.
Where do I get this guy?
Amazon.
Amazon.
Yeah, so you can get the e-collar, you can get the prong collar, and you can get the muzzle All on Amazon.
All on Amazon. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No worries.
And then I'll schedule do I schedule set of appointments right away or one at a time?
So what we would do is, if you have like a time of day that works well for you, like let's say Friday at 3 o'clock, right?
Yes.
For example, then Friday at 3 o'clock for like 6 weeks, or whatever, would be your time. If you have to, cancel or reschedule, not a big deal. But what happens is, after those weeks, if you use up your priority, and we need someone to book that time, Maria would tell you, hey, you've used up your priority because you've rescheduled too many times, but you still have the classes.
Sure.
You don't lose the classes. So then she's like, do you have these other times that you can do? And then we would just move you around. Because we used to hold the times for people, and they would cancel or reschedule. And then I would have like 12 o'clock on a Sunday open for months, and then I couldn't do anything with it. And then my schedule gets backed up.
No, I know you're a very important man. I will respect that.
Thank you.
All right.
But yeah, if you need anything else, you let us know.
Thank you.
I don't perceive any real issues here. And then we'll just see how he does and just take it from there.